Good day. I'm Joan Hayes, and in this tutorial I'm going to do a simple little barn in a country setting. And I'm starting out per usual doing my background in a cobalt blue with some Payne's gray, wet on wet, trying to manipulate the paint and try and keep it as loose as possible. If you notice, I did a sketch, really minimal sketch before I started the piece. Just the outline of the field and the barn. Seriously simple outline. I don't like to do too much pencil on a watercolor because sometimes it does show through. Here I'm adding a little more pigment with a little more Payne's gray in there just to give a little more ominous sky there. Again, trying to keep it wet so the paint and pigment moves around a little looser. Moving and manipulating with my little fan brush as I go. And just trying to keep the water stains as best I can away. Then I go into the foreground a little bit with some burnt sienna and a little yellow ochre. And now I'm going in with yellow ochre and a little bit of my cream on cream. Again, just giving the basic format and layout for the piece. Keeping an eye on that background as always, because that sky always seems to have a mind of its own. Coming in with raw sienna and some Payne's gray. Brought some yellow ochre into the sky, just testing it out a little bit. And as it turns out, I don't think I'm that crazy about that, but that's okay. I can manipulate that later. Coming in with some Payne's gray and a little alizarin crimson into that mountain range just to define it a little bit, and then brushing it out a little bit. Starting to work around the barn to try to outline that barn a little bit. Coming into my background field with a little bit of the cream, opaque cream, to define the grasses a little bit there. And then I'm going to come in with some alizarin crimson and some Payne's gray to put a division between one field and the other in a shadow, which I will stroke and stroke out a little bit and soften the edges. I'm trying to keep this piece on the simple side, the scene itself. Just a simple field with a barn. Not crazy about that sky, so I'm going in with an opaque white over the whole thing. And this is where I talked about I wasn't crazy about my yellow ochre in there. And the clouds looked a little bit rigid. So I just came in with a light wash with the white, zinc white, and just softened up the whole piece. And kind of, I feel like I did like a lines in between separating the sky, and I wasn't crazy about that. So I changed it up a little bit, and I like it better. Going in and manipulating the paint a little bit, and the opaque white helps to soften those edges and kind of correct some of the errors that happened with the water and water stains. And I like it better. It seems to be a little more fluid in the sky. I think I should have worked a little bit drier in the sky when I initially put that water down. Paint down on the water, I should say. And then I'm turning with the opaque white, getting some puffy clouds in there. And that looks better. That looks a little more natural to me. Gonna have to go into the foreground a little bit and just get that field a little more pronounced. Again, theme of this one is keeping it simple, so nothing too detailed. Gonna come into my barn now with cad orange and brilliant red, and just start laying out the basic building. Not worrying too much about it just yet, just playing with it. I love this part of painting when the final touches come in with buildings. Just going into the tree area here behind the barn that helps to nest the barn into the scene. And once I finish that tree area behind the barn, I'll work on top of, as I've said many times, I like to work as best I can from the back forward, meaning doing the sky first, the mountains, the grasses, then the foreground, and then the barn. Laying things from the back forward. But it doesn't always work out that way because sometimes, depending on how the paint is drying, I have to move around the piece a little bit, but that's the basic idea of what I like to do. Using some cad orange and some of the bright red again to lay on top of the first coat of the barn I laid down, going into my roof with straight panes gray, and trying to clean up the edges around the building where it meets the sky, just for any little touch-ups there. And really just doing the final touches on this. Shadows with straight panes gray, probably a little touch of alizarin crimson in there as well. Again, the whole idea of this was simple image, simple painting. Keep it simple. They don't have to be complicated to be good and fun. And I'm using the white of the paper for my windows, the little gesture of windowsill and door frame and so on, and the trim on the roof. And just those little tiny strokes in such a small piece is really all you need to give the gesture of the scene and the building. You know, you don't have to fill in every little corner. Sometimes it's nice just to see a rough stroke in a building. Well, I hope you've liked this one. This was a fun one to do. And I hope you this inspires you to pick up a paintbrush, some paints and paper, and just start painting again. And I hope to see you in the next painting I do. If you like what I'm doing, like and subscribe. It encourages me to keep going, and I hope this has helped you in some way, inspired you to maybe paint, try a piece yourself. It's all about the fun of painting and just trying it. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next painting.